Today we are going to solve past paper questions of physics and mathematics from 2018 paper of IMAT. And our 53rd question is, a car starts at point X. Okay, we have a car which starts at point X, right? Which starts at point X. So which means this is my X point and this is the point from where my car starts. It travels 3 kilometers due east, which means it travels 3 kilometers in the east direction. And we must be known about the directions, right? So this is the north direction we have. This is the east direction we have. This is the south direction we have, and this is the west direction we have. Okay, we must be known about these four directions. North is upward, east is on the right hand side, west is on the left hand side, and south is downward. So X is the point from where car has started travel. Now it travels 3 kilometer in the east direction, which means in the right hand side direction. How much? It travels 3 kilometer, right? So it has traveled 3 kilometer in the east direction. Now it says then 4 kilometer due south. South means downward, right? So 4 kilometers it moves downward. 4 kilometers it moves downward. Then they say then 6 kilometer due west. West means left hand side, right? So 6 kilometer west. 6 kilometer west, right? So 6 kilometer in the west side, and then they say 8 kilometer due north. North means upward, right? So 8 kilometer in the north direction. 8 kilometer in the north direction. So this is my 8 kilometer, right? And it is in the north direction. Now see, what are they asking us? How far away is the car from point X, from here, from this point? It has reached the end of its journey. The end of its journey is here. So they are asking us how much is this distance. Let me mark this with another color so that it can be clear. They are asking us to find this displacement, right? So for that we must be known about some parameters. See, if my this is 3 and this entire is 6, so 6 minus this 3, how much this would be? It would be 3, right? So my this is 3 as well. 3 kilometer, 3 kilometer plus, when we're gonna add it, we're gonna get 6 kilometer. So yes, my this is 6 kilometer. What is my this side? See, this entire one is 8 kilometer. I just want my this side. I just want my this one. So how much is this? If my this length is 4 kilometer, right? If my this length is 4 kilometer, then 8 minus 4 is 4, right? So my this must be 4 kilometer. Now I've gotten my perpendicular. Now I've gotten my base. I have to find my hypotenuse. And for finding the hypotenuse, the formula is hypotenuse square equals perpendicular square plus base square. This is the formula that we use in order to find any measure of the right angle triangle, right? This is the right angle triangle. So we are using this Pythagoras theorem formula. Hypotenuse square is equal to perpendicular square plus base square. So hypotenuse square equals, what's perpendicular value we have is 4 kilometer. So 4 square plus what base value we have is 3 kilometers. So 3 square. See, we are supposed to find only hypotenuse, not hypotenuse square. So hypotenuse equals under root on both sides, right? So under root, the square of 4 4s are 16, right? And the square of 3 is 9. 3 3s are 9. Hypotenuse is equal to 16 plus 9 is 25 under this root. Hypotenuse equal to, so this 25 is the square of 5, right? So square cancel with this root. Thus our hypotenuse value comes out to be 5. So this distance must be 5 kilometer from the X point where the car has started traveling and to end of its journey. The distance is 5 kilometer, which means A is the correct answer. So we have found the answer to our first question, which is A, right? Now our 54th question. A resistor has a resistance of 5 ohm. Okay, resistance is given to us. The best way of solving any question is to write its data down. So its resistance is given to us, okay? And how much is resistance given to us? It's 5 ohm. It's 5 ohm. There is a direct current of 10 ampere, which means current is also given to us, which is 10 ampere, right? What they are asking us to find is power dissipated. So which means they are asking us to find the power. Power is missing here, power is required here. So for finding the power, we have three formulas, but what formula we'll be applying here would be the one which has resistance and current also. The formula which has resistance in addition to current, right? So the power equals I square R. In the last videos we have discussed about power. It has three formulas in order to find power, and the formula which has current with in addition to the resistance is what we call this formula, I square R, right? So in order to find power, you must take the square of the current and multiply it with resistance. So power equals, what's the current value we have is 10, right? Is 10. So 10 square, and then resistance value we have is 5, right? So the square of 10 is 100, right? Multiply by 5. Power equals 100 by 5 is 500. So 500 watt is the answer. 500 watt is the correct answer, which means E is the correct answer. Okay, now our 55th question. Which one of the following is an expression of the mean? Okay, we are supposed to find the mean here. Okay, so three values are given to us, x by 3, x plus 6. We are supposed to find here the mean. Okay, we are supposed to find here the mean. So mean equals sum of all the values, upon total number of values, right? Total number. So mean equals, we have to sum these all the values, okay? So x by 3 plus x plus 6, right? Divided by total number of values. How many values do we have? 1, 2, 3. So we have total 3 values, right? Mean equals, now we are supposed to sum these all three values. In order to sum these all three values, we are supposed to make their denominator same, right? So if there is 3, we know that if there is nothing in the denominator, there's always 1, right? So in order to make it 3 as well, we'll multiply it with 3. If denominator is multiplied with 3, numerator must be multiplied with 3. Denominator multiplied by 3, so numerator must be multiplied by 3 as well. So in the denominator now we have is 3x, okay, plus 3x, and then 3 into x is 3x, plus 3 into 6 is 18, right? And in the denominator we have is 3, right? So mean equals x plus 3x is 4x, 4x plus 3x is 7x, plus 18. In its division we have already 3, right? Divided by this 3. In order to convert this division sign into multiplication, we are supposed to we are supposed to invert this value, right? Take the reciprocal, multiply by 1 by 3, right? Equals 7x plus 18 by 3 3s are 9, right? So this is the answer we have, 3x plus 18 upon 9. 3x plus 18 upon 9. D is the correct answer we have. So we have solved our 55th question as well. Now let's go and solve 56th question. It's again very easy, not difficult at all. What is the gradient? Now see, gradient is nothing but it is slope, right? It is slope. So what is the gradient? What is the slope of the straight line passing through the points with coordinates? So these points are given to us. They are asking us to find the gradient. They are asking us to find the slope of the equation, right? Slope of the straight line. Now see, for finding the slope, if we are given with the standard equation, which is y equals mx plus c. From here we can identify what our slope is. The slope is this m, right? This slope, this gradient is m, right? But here we are not given with an equation of a straight line, but we are given with the coordinate points. We are given with x1, y1, we are given with x2, y2, and now they are asking us to find the slope. Okay, so for finding the slope of the line whose gradient, whose coordinates points are given to us, we can find the slope of that by using this formula, change in y upon change in x. Change in y upon change in x is the second formula which you can use in order to find your slope. And change in y means final minus initial, right? Change means final minus initial. So y2 minus y1 upon change in x means x2 minus x1. Now you are just supposed to substitute the values. Substitute the values. Values are already given to us. So m equals, the value of y2 is 6, right? So 6 minus y1 is minus 3. So minus 3 upon x2 is minus 1. Again minus x1 is 2. 6 minus minus plus 3 upon minus minus, but again sign of minus, right? So minus. M equals 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 by minus 3. So 3 ones are 3, 3 threes are 9. So minus 3 is the slope, is the gradient of this line whose coordinate points are given to us. Okay. So minus 3 is the correct answer we have. Now let's solve this 57th question, and this 57th question is related to the logarithm. Here only logarithm properties are applied, nothing else is applied. It's very basic question again. Okay, see, they have given us log 10 7 equals x, log 10 2 equals y, log 10 3 equals z. They are asking us to log 10 function 14 by 3 equals to what? So if I have to break this, see, if I have my log, okay, if I have my log and it has function in division, okay, a by b, then you can also express it in the terms of log a, okay, your first function comes here, and then minus log, your denominator comes or becomes the function of the log again. So log a minus log b can be written as log a by b. This is the basic property we have. Okay. So this 14 by 3 can be written as, wait, cannot be written as log 10, we have 14, right, minus log 10, and then we have 3. So 14 by 3 is written like this, as we wrote this a by b as log a minus log b, right? Now this log 14 cannot be written as log 10 7 by 2. 7 by 2 is 14, right? Minus log 10, 3. Now see, this was the first property, and the second property of the log is log when two functions are multiplying. When two functions are multiplying, those can be written as log A plus log B. Log A plus log B. So these two functions are multiplying. They can be written as log 10, 7, okay, plus log 10, 2. And this would be written as same, right? Minus log 10, 3. Now log 10, 7. Log 10, 7 is equal to x. So I can substitute log 10, 7 as x, right? Plus log 10, 2 is given as y, right? So log 10, 2 is y, minus log 10, 3 is z. So log 10, 3 is z. So this is the final value we have gotten of log 10, 14 by 3 in the terms of x, y, z. So x plus y minus z. X plus y minus z. So C is the correct answer we have. Now we are going to solve 58th question. It is again very interesting and very easy question. A solid wooden cube has sides of length A. The density of the wood is P. Okay. The cube is completely immersed in a beaker of oil which has a density. So density is given to us, which is this. Okay. The top surface of the cube is horizontal. The gravitational field is G. Okay. What is the upward force? Upward force or upthrust force, which I've already told you in the last videos, right? Upthrust force is nothing, but it is force which is exerted upward, right? Force exerted upward. So this is my upward force, which is also upthrust force, right? This is balanced by weight, right? This force is balanced by weight, which means mg. So upthrust force can also be written as mg, because its magnitude is same as weight, right? So upthrust is equal to mg. We are supposed to find this upthrust force. Okay, they have given us density, and the formula for finding the density is density equals mass per unit volume, right? So mass upon volume. Mass, we don't know about mass. Density they have already given us. So density equals mass we are finding in order to plug it here in the upthrust formula in order to find upthrust force, right? So mass per unit volume. Now see how we're gonna find the volume. The length is already given to us, which is A. So volume is nothing but it is cube of this side, right? Cube means A cube, right? So this is A cube. We are supposed to find the mass. So this volume is dividing here. When it will go there, it will be multiplied. So mass equals this density into A cube, which is volume, right? So now we have found our mass as well. Gravitational field is already given to us, which is G, right? Now we are just supposed to plug these all the values in the upthrust formula. So upthrust equals mg, mass is now this, density A cube, which is volume cube, and G. So this is the upthrust force we have gotten. Let's see if we have gotten this in our answer. So this D is the correct answer. We have density volume cube into gravitational field. Now we are on the second last question, which is 59th. A fixed mass of an ideal gas undergoes a change in which it is supplied with 3500 joule. So energy is what? It is 3500 joule, right? And because energy is provided to the system whenever energy is provided to the system, okay? Energy provided to the system. So this energy would be positive. So this is positive 3500 joule. Okay. At the same time, the gas does work of 3500. So whenever work is done by the system, work done by system, when we are doing work on the system, that work is negative, but whenever work is done by the system, that work is positive. So work is again positive 3500 joule. Okay. They are asking us which type of change does the gas undergo during this time. What type of change, what is the process this is? Now see, you must have come across first law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics. This law gave us basically the concept that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it is changed from one form to another. In other words, the energy is equal to the energy which we're gonna provide to the system, will gonna utilize into changing its internal energy of the system and doing some amount of work. Okay, so our energy which we are supplying to the system is not wasted or not destroyed, but it is changing from heat energy to the internal energy and work done. Okay, so this is the concept which we got from first law of thermodynamics, which means if I am, this is my system and this is the pistol I have here. Okay, so I am providing it with Q, which is my heat energy, right? So this heat energy wouldn't be destroyed, but here we have particles. So this energy will be utilized in order to change the internal energy of the system. Okay, and also if their internal energy would be increased, their kinetic energy would be increased as well, which means they'll exert the pressure on the wall of the container, right? So when they'll exert the pressure on the wall of the container, this pistol will go up, right? This pistol will go up. So for suppose initially the pistol was here somewhere, now it has moved up due to the pressure exerted by these molecules because of their internal energy increased, right? So this is the work done we have. The pistol covered some displacement, right? And it exerted some pressure. Pressure is force per unit area. So force multiplied by this displacement is what we call work done, right? So now we understood this entire term. Now see, they have given us heat energy and work done, which means internal energy equals work done minus this heat energy. So work done is positive 3500. Heat energy provided to the system is 3500 as well. So internal energy which is changed is 0, right? Now see, if we read the option, adiabatic process. Adiabatic process is the process in which no heat energy is transferred or taken out from the system. In this case, we have provided our system with the heat energy and it is doing work as well, which means it is providing us back with the energy as well in the form of work. So of course here we have in the transferring of energy as well as taking out of energy, so adiabatic process cannot be our answer, right? If we see isothermal, so isothermal means no change in temperature. Temperature is constant and temperature is directly linked with this internal energy, which means internal energy is not changed. That's why temperature is constant. Okay, so temperature is constant, which means internal energy is not changed. So here change in internal energy we have already gotten is 0, because whatever the heat energy we have provided to the system, it is utilized in doing some amount of work, not in increasing the or changing the internal energy of the molecule, which means temperature is constant throughout this process. So this is the correct answer we have. This is isothermal process, right? If I see C option, C isochoric. Choric means volume is constant. Volume is not changed. See, volume is increased. When work is done, volume is increased, right? Isochoric cannot be an answer as well. Isomeric. Now see, isomeric is entirely different concept. Same chemical, isomeric are the molecules or the compounds that have same chemical formula but different physical properties or arrangements. So here this isn't linked with any type of thing which we have done here in order to understand this concept, right? Last but not the least is isobaric. Isobaric means pressure is same, pressure is constant. In this case, pressure is changed. Pressure is exerted by the molecules on the walls of the container. That's why that wall of the container, that piston has moved upward in order to do some amount of work, which means pressure has changed. In this case, pressure is not constant. So now we are only left with our only answer is option B, which is isothermal, means temperature is constant. Now we are on the last question of ours, 16th question. How many ways are there to order the letters A, B, B, C? For example, A, C, A, B, B and A, B, B, C, which means how many number of ways are there in order to arrange these 5 letters. Now see, I can arrange these 5 letters in this case as well. C, B, A, B. This can be the arrangement of my letters as well. So how many number of ways are there in which these 5 letters can be arranged? Now see, here we have AABB, which means letters are in the repeated form. And whenever you are finding the number of ways, the order, the number of ways in which your letters are repeated, you are gonna use this formula. N factorial upon n1 factorial, n2 factorial, n3 factorial, and up to so on. Okay, now what does this n factorial mean? See, if you have a number called 5 factorial, so this 5 factorial means 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, which means you have to take the product of 5 with all the numbers up to 1, right? So this is the 5 factorial. If I ask you about 4 factorial, so 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 is 4 factorial. So this n factorial means the total number of letters you have to take the factorial of that. So how many total number of letters you have is 5, right? AA 2, BB 4, C. So 5 numbers you have. So you have to take 5 factorial upon, okay, and 1 factorial, which means first letter first. So A, how many times is A repeated? It is repeated twice, right? So you have to take 2 factorial again, and 2, which means letter number 2, B. So B is repeated twice, right? So B2 twice it is repeated, 2 factorial, and then again n3, which means C. So C is only one time in this entire alphabet series. So 1 factorial. Now you just have to take the factorial, which I have taught you, right? So 5 factorial means 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. 2 factorial means 2 into 1, right? Again, 2 factorial means 2 into 1 and 1 factorial means 1 ones are. Okay, very easy. So 5 fours are 20, 23s are 60, 62s are 120, 121s are 120. 120 upon 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4, 4 ones are 4, 4 ones are 4. So 4. 4 ones are 4, 4 threes are 12, 0. So 30. There are 30 number of ways in which your A, B, B, C can be arranged. For instance, this way is 1, this way is 2, this way is 3, and there will be 27 more ways in which your this A, B, B, C would be arranged. Okay, so this is how you find the number of ways in which your letters which are repeated is arranged. So these are the all questions we solved today of past paper 2018. In the next video we'll be solving 2017 past paper.